And if there was any exchange I would ever put my money on and buy equity, it's FTX. Guess what, Kevin? You were wrong.
So welcome everybody. Today we got a bit of a special episode. First thing first, we need to clarify who the winner was from our last episode.
Was it bankman-fried, was it?
And yeah, exactly. Maybe he will come on. No, but so I humbly, I didn't expect this to happen in the markets, but of course everything has gone down essentially. So Trader Joe and MakerDAO went down since our last prediction. That was my prediction.
You got lucky.
So far,
lucky. It had nothing to do with your analysis. You got lucky. You were short the market. The market fell. You got lucky. That's it. Like, you didn't win anything.
I'm 100% with you, Shane. But sometimes you need luck on your side.
Listen, I'm the most luckiest man you've ever met. You can take your little trophy, but ultimately there's something way bigger going on at crypto. And
there is. But wait, before we jump into that, I also just want to give a shout out to everybody in the comments of our last video that did a prediction. Yeah. And we had 3 people that actually got the right prediction. And Jubo Herschel, I hope I pronounced that right. We're going to be hitting you up and sending you some CHSB because you were the winner. You had the right prediction. You did it within the 24-hour time window. So we're going to be sending you some CHSB. Thank you so much for participating in our game.
Good job. You fluked it. Good job. Well done. You and Alex are flukes. That's all you are. You're flukes.
We were actually 4 in total that all made the same prediction. So I guess all 4 of us were a bit fluky.
Well, they knew something.
Take your little trophy. But more importantly, welcome to the SwissBorg community. And thank you so much for commenting. There were some great comments. Just before we kick it off, in regards to Trader Joe, as some of you may know, I was hosting stage 2 at Token 2049 in London, which was absolutely one of the best crypto events in the UK in a very, very long time, apart from obviously the negative news which was going around. But actually the general manager of Trader Joe, a gentleman called Davide Fai, an Italian guy, came up and gave a keynote about Trader Joe. I will drop the link on YouTube. It was like maybe a 15-minute keynote, but actually Trader Joe have come out with loads of announcements. And although they might be down on the back of a fluke, our general Black Swan events, Trader Joe looks really, really good. And it's awesome what they're doing over there, really simplifying DeFi and crypto. So anyway, I'll drop the link in.
So our suggestion is, instead of doing a normal price prediction, let's actually take some time and dive into all that's happened. I know, Pietro, you did a market outlook last week. Thank you so much for that. That was great. Since then, of course, Binance has
rejected. A lot of things happened.
So much have happened. Since then, Binance, of course, has rejected the ETF. We had a bunch of industry leaders jump onto a Twitter space. Was it yesterday, Pietro? Or
in the span of the last 3 or 4 days, yeah. I mean, most of the leaders, at least of the reputable exchanges that are doing everything correctly, yeah, those joined the massive Twitter space. The people of exchanges that are more being put in question at the moment, obviously the ones that didn't react to the invites pretty much. So that also should tell you a bit of where we're at the moment.
And before we jump into maybe what some of these people have said, what are our sentiments on this? Normally, we would look at 2 tokens and we would give a price prediction. What do we think about the general sentiment in the market? Have we hit the bottom? Are we going to see institutions leaving until there's more regulation? That seems to be Kevin O'Leary's, a famous investor in this space.
Kevin O'Leary. Let me tell you some of the amazing things Kevin O'Leary has said. Let's go back to July of this year. If there's anybody who I would trust in crypto to manage my money that acts in the most compliant way, it's Sam Bankless, money all gone free. And if there was any exchange I would ever put my money on and buy equity, it's FTX. Guess what, Kevin? You were wrong. Wrong, dead wrong. Poor guy. Humble fucking pie. There you go. You're going to have to eat that. Terrible.
And I would like to start, first of all, by saying something, which is that if any of the people listening or any of our users had some kind of exposure to FTX or anything, this is really a tragic day, because I've myself been part of, let's say, a couple of scams in the past when I just started getting involved in crypto, and it's devastating. And I can imagine some people already had life savings on there. And I mean, it's
absolutely.
Our condolences goes out to everybody that's affected. It's of course horrible. I feel like this is like one of the oldest tales of finance time. Like when you take on too much leverage, you don't have liquidity. It's the number one rule that we keep coming back to. 3-year capital.
This has happened time and time again. Go back and look at long-term capital management. It's called a book called When Genius Fails. It was back in the mid-90s when a load of quant traders got together and really set up like the first hedge fund, which was really focused on geniuses coming out of an investment bank and coming up with the black box solution. They took too much leverage, they got carried out. Lehman Brothers, same thing, too much leverage, got carried out. 3 Hours Capital. Fundamentally, it's greed and ego that drove this. And it's so disappointing that real investors and real companies that had investment from the likes of Alameda and FTX are going to suffer. And subsequently, it causes a systemic and overall market defunctness and sell-off, and we're all affected by that. So, what we saw from the VC funds not doing their due diligence and overvaluing the business, to liquidity problems, to hypothecation of stock, to over leverage, to poor due diligence and oversight, to downright fraud. It's absolutely decimated the industry, and it's a very, very sad day, and it's a sad week for everything that you guys have said.
Yeah. And I think it's important here to highlight, because this is one of the major reasons why I joined SwissBorg. How is SwissBorg unique, and how are we different here? One of the major things that we have executives that take responsibilities, that never put short-term profit over long-term sustainability. We use segregated accounts. I'm quite sure that we're in the works of providing a proof of reserves, because there is a greater need for transparency across the board in crypto. This is what we've seen time and time again.
Also, just to add to that, we don't have any proper trading desk, right? We're an order aggregator with a democratized wealth management for a crypto ecosystem. So we don't have any prop desk or any trading, and that was one of the big things with FTX. It was that they had an investment bank offering execution and services, but they also had a hedge fund which was taking outside's bets with the money coming from the investment bank, or should I say clients' money, allegedly. So, you had a tail risk on that, which we do not have and have never have and would never have.
Yeah, and exactly this. So to echo that sentiment, on this Twitter space that I joined, right, head of another reputable exchange echoed exactly what SwissBorg is all about, which is maybe a few years ago, we weren't necessarily the sexiest platform or exchange for the APYs that we were offering, and you could go to other platforms and get way higher returns and way higher interest. But at the same time, these maybe less sexy in the past exchanges or platforms, you're now starting to understand why these are the most relevant and the most reputable. It's not about double-digit APYs all year round on whatever you want. It's much more about safety and security. And again, many times this was mentioned, user fund segregation. We can't play with users' money just freely and go leverage and try and make as many returns as possible. And the second is licensing. So you have to be somehow regulated, right? And it doesn't mean that your whole structure needs to be regulated. But if you don't have licenses in place to perform certain actions and to have some kind of oversight, then it's a free-for-all. It's a Wild West, and that doesn't make any sense anymore, right? If you have users' funds as a centralized exchange like FTX was, you need to have some form of regulation, some form of incentive that what you're doing is correct. And
absolutely. And when you look at where our HQ is, and that is in Switzerland, we are presented and represented in Switzerland, Estonia, UK, France, Liechtenstein, UAE. It's not a situation where we're offshore, but hopefully by the time this video comes out, I do know that we're working right now of a proof of funds, or proof of solderability. So I'm sure when this comes out, if you haven't seen it already and you are a Borger, please, it's something that we're super proud about, how we've actually maintained and navigated this rather challenging environment. But for me, I just see a continued opportunity to communicate to both current and future community members and users of our platform that we have ran our business in the utmost way, focusing on compliance and regulation and safety of our funds. So hopefully that will all come out in an official statement, either before or at the same time as this.
Yeah.
I've one more thing to add, Alex, which is just you were talking in general about the market, whether we're going up or down. I just wanted to mention something quickly about this. As everyone should know, a massive piece of a puzzle just crumbled, and there could potentially be some kind of domino effects or some other parties in the crypto world that are affected that maybe we don't realize yet. It's unlikely where we're going. If I had to bet at the moment, we could be going a bit lower before we find a bottom and before we're done. Simply due even to the fact of trust, right? So Luna happened, and that was an algorithmic, let's say, taken advantage of in a very different way. This was whole human error, let's say, not even error, just human fraud, right? Like human, like a criminal activity, pretty much. And this will mean a lot for the trust in the industry, unfortunately. But if there's one positive thing, is that when these scandals happen, all of the bad actors get flushed out. There will be a hypersensitive environment now where, thank God, on-chain, you can verify a lot of transactions and actually go into the depth of what's been going on. We'll get rid of all the bad actors and we'll start over in this industry that the fundamentals haven't changed, right? Like what's going on here has not changed at all. What we're aiming for hasn't. It's